Okay, before I go into the dead, so my whole point of bringing up gender and marriage, and now we're going to talk about death and dying, is so much of our views about our identity, about what marriage means, about how we deal with the dead. And I just picked three topics. I mean, we could do this with music, we could do this with dress, we could do this with how we wear our hair. Um, how we raise our children. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. But I really thought it was important because a lot of what you'll probably do with counseling is death and dying and people that are grieving, and whether it's them approaching death or working with someone who's lost someone. And here, culture is so powerful. Once again, the intentions of the humans in these cultures may be the same. Like the intention may be we want to honor the dying, but what that means, it's so different depending where you are. And I will explain. So in Inuit culture, old people were not common. Once someone got to a point where they physically could no longer contribute to the group and they felt that they were becoming a burden on the family, they traditionally they would either be set out on an ice floe or they would voluntarily just drift away on an ice floe. The Yanomamo of the Amazon were Indo cannibals. Oh my God, what a great term. Indo means in, exo means out. So an Indo cannibalist is someone who eats members of their own tribe, not because they're hungry, not because they need nutrition, but they want to keep them with the group. They don't want them to go be spread out into the jungle or to other groups or whatever. And I don't know, that sounds kind of interesting to me. Indo cannibalism. I don't think you can do that here in the United States currently, though. So just it's some indigenous American tribes believe that you enter the happy hunting grounds or the spirit realm, where it's basically like it is here, but the spirit version of it. But you enter into it in the body that you die in. And so you don't want to die too old. You want to go when you're relatively still mobile, healthy, virile, etc. Because if you wait too long, you're going to spend eternity limping around or using your cane or whatever you happen to do. And so in these cultures, you may encourage your parents to move on at a much younger age than you might do if you believe your parent is going to be resurrected or reincarnated. Because if your parent's going to be reincarnated, they get to start over again as a child. It's no big whoop. But if your culture is telling you you live out eternity in the body you died in, or that level of well-being, well, you're going to have very different views about death and dying, aren't you? I love this picture of reincarnation, coming through the body, but the life is passing through all these different vehicles or manifestations. I was counting these out. I think I'm right around here on this roller coaster before they start again in another life and another life and another life, on and on. In the Egyptians, they believed in resurrection as opposed to reincarnation. And so, but as opposed to like Native Americans, um, they found in a lot of burial sites in the American Southwest where people had been buried, they found mixed with them were like broken bows and arrows, broken pottery, but not like broken like trash or rubbish. And that's what anthropologists first thought, or paleontologists. They thought, oh, they're doing a twofer. They're burying a dead body and they're getting rid of broken stuff in the village, until they began to realize it had to do with their animistic belief that when you die, you go into the spirit world. But if I want to have one of my favorite mugs with me, and I already told my nieces and nephews this, I said, now when I die, it's very important that you ceremoniously kill number one so I can use him in the afterlife. Because as long as the mug is alive, it stays in this world. If I want this mug to go with me into the next world, I have to kill the mug. Same with my bow, maybe my favorite hunting dog, my favorite horse, etc. If I want them with me, they also need to be removed from this physical body.
Was
Now,
that why? I'm sorry. In the pyramids, or I think it's in the pyramids, they would have like their support staff. I'm not coming up with the right words. Um,
attendance, yeah,
yeah, their attendants, they would find them dead as well in the outer areas. Is that the idea that you die, your attendants go with you so that they'll be with you in the afterlife?
for the indigenous Americans I was talking about, and you also see this among like the plains people of Mongolia and the steppes of Russia, like the Scythians, they would bury horses, concubines, all of it with the chieftain or whoever the special person. The Egyptians were different though, because when we open their tombs, the stuff isn't broken because they believe in bodily resurrection. That's why they went through such intricate care and preservation of the physical body because they believe that body was actually going to reanimate and then use those things that were in the room. Do you know if the attendants were embalmed as well? I would think they would need to be.
I
If
don't know, but that would make sense.
it would. If they weren't embalmed, they were probably just dispatched so they wouldn't give away the location or something like that, would be my guess. But you see cats mummified and other sorts of things that they would want to have in the afterlife. And then, of course, the Christian view of resurrection is also a bodily resurrection. And Jesus, at least in the New Testament, appears to have come out of the tomb in the body that went into the tomb. And we have passages that tell us, the last trumpet shall sound, and the dead in Christ shall rise first. And so Christianity has a long tradition teaching bodily resurrection. As a philosopher, this is very difficult for me because when you think about what our body is made up of, and my body is made up of consuming other bodies, like all the plants and vegetables I've eaten, all the fish, all the chicken, all the beef, and their bodies have become part of my body. And when this physical body dies, my spirit leaves it, it will go back to the earth and critters will eat it and grass will grow from it and fruit trees will spring and all of this stuff, and other people will eat that fruit or eat that grass that's eaten by a bull that's then butchered and eaten. And it's just like, well, that's going to be a trick, especially if you're buried at sea, right? Or something like that. And so it's a fun conversation I like to have with my theological friends. I do believe we will have bodies, but I think there must be something about the glorified body where it's not dependent on the actual molecules and atoms that this particular body was made up of. At least I'm sure hoping, because I have a feeling by this stage in history, I probably got a lot of molecules of previous humans bouncing around in here somewhere. Okay, enough of that philosophic tangent.